I maximize the best version of Bobby, give as much value as I can to the world. And then I realized somehow, some way, it came back to me. So I like to take care of my body, my soul, my spirit. Recently got God in my life. Dude, I'm winning. Not only I became personally free because my confidence went up, I became financially free. That 1700 led me to do an exit, 250 million, 11 months later, 600 million, and a few years later for $1 billion. I started being self-taught. Transparency offends people and it's so hard to receive it. What I'm about to say, and maybe some of the family members are gonna see this, like they've seen a lot. I love you. But how Bobby did it, I subtracted people out of my life. I loved them from a distance. I subtracted some friends, so-called friends. I needed to get the shovel and start unloading some stuff and be by myself so then I could be talking to myself and being accountable because everyone else was helping me justify my bullcrap because they were stuck like I was stuck.
There's a difference between a dream chaser and a dream catcher. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Dream Catchers podcast. I'm your host, Jerome, and we are in for a treat today. We've got Mr. Positive Mental Attitude, Bobby Castro in the building. Some of you may have heard Sophia Castro a couple of years ago when I got the opportunity to chat with her. That's his other half. And now we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Bobby. Bobby had a company that they exited a few years ago that had $1 billion valuation. And now he's a big player in real estate, a lot of multifamily, and they may have ventured out into some other things, but I don't know. We'll have to find that out as we go in. So Bobby, how are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, man. It's so good to see you. And thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast. I know you're the real deal and you know some folks that I know. And, you know, the power of relationships, especially when it's transparent, I take that very serious. And that's why I'm sitting here today.
Man, looking fit, man. I mean, how old are you? 40? What's going on?
So I'm 57 years old. I really feel like I'm 19, man. You know, most people, because I have high energy because I'm so excited about life. And I do that without any narcotics. I don't take, you know, whether it's cocaine, speed, Adderall, some of these other things, not for me. I just do life. I'm so excited. I'm so blessed to have woken up today because I personally know and I believe in within, Jerome, millions of people did not wake up that thought they were going to wake up. So today I'm very intentional, as I am all day, to make sure I maximize the best version of Bobby, give as much value as I can to the world. And then I realized somehow, some way, it came back to me. So I like to take care of my body, my soul, my spirit. Recently got God in my life. Dude, I'm winning.
Wow. Wow. So we don't talk about God much here, but you brought it up. So what happened? Did you have a special experience? Did you go somewhere? Did you lose something? Like, tell me the journey.
Yeah,
there.
Two things happened to me. Not this Thanksgiving, or not the past Thanksgiving, but the past Thanksgiving in November. We were having Thanksgiving at my house, and all my family, my daughter, her awesome husband, my 2 grandchildren, her children, and Eddie's children, Brandon, his fiance at the time, which are married now, Jen, and some immediate family, including my mom and all that. So my daughter, Priscilla, who's 33 years old, and I talk to her a lot. I talk a lot about her in my book, Upsiders. They're all praying. She's leading the prayer. And now I'm one that has never believed in God. I just believe there's I use the word energy a lot because I just think there's some energy forces. I couldn't really put the dots together. So we're here praying, and we're in the back patio overlooking this beautiful home I'm blessed to have. And my daughter, man, was in the vibration. She was in the moment. She was praying. I looked up because I'm bowing down, Jerome, not praying, just saying, when is, you know, I'm just thinking of other things going on in my life. And I look up only because the prayer was really long. I look up and I'm saying, man, she's going on for a long one. And I looked around to everybody I love, my small circle. They were all in that moment. I was the only one that was not. That must have happened hundreds of times, but I would never paid attention. It was a ha-ha moment. Right there and then I knew, man, I'm missing something on the spiritual side. I got this going on. I have strong beliefs about this, but the spiritual is really lacking. And it was kind of crazy because before that, Dr. Orlando, Legacy Capitals, we're doing this family retreats all the time for Legacy Wealth. And he's telling me, Dr. Orlando Richard, Bobby, you got it all going on, but no spirituals in there, man. Nothing in your puzzle here. So fast forward, we're at the Thanksgiving. I just mentioned what happened. So it went away. I'm speaking then, maybe January, I don't know when, at Cabo, Mexico, at an entrepreneur event. I was speaking to some awesome individuals, giving them as much transparency from my heart, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. And after it was a great weekend. And then they asked me, hey, Bobby, man, can you really do a quick podcast for us before you dart out back to Florida? And I said, absolutely. We're sitting in one of the rooms in this huge facility that overlooks the ocean, the Pacific. And we're vibing. We're doing the podcast all about entrepreneurship, wealth creation, business, real estate. And out of nowhere, a big shadow on the back, there was a big terrace just blocked the whole sun. And I noticed it, but we were filming like we're filming now. But I had to look back because it passed several times. And I looked back and it was a dude. He had to be about 6'10". He looks in because it's like kind of tinted glass. He looks in and he realizes we're filming. He goes, oh, and he freaks out. I'm sorry. And I said, no. And I knew he was trapped and he didn't know which way to go. I said, no, dude, come in here. I opened the slider. He comes in, massive dude, really healthy, 6'9", 6'8", Pastor Keith. His name was Pastor Keith from Texas, from Dallas. He comes in, he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, you know what, man? Sit down. And out of nowhere, I interrupt this whole podcast. And I pull in the middle little furniture. I said, sit here, dude. We're just doing a podcast. What's your name? I'm Keith, Bobby, this and that. We're talking. He has a huge real estate portfolio, very successful. And within that podcast, Jerome, that went on for the remaining 30 minutes, something happened, man. And I received God on that podcast. And a lot of people reached out to me, Bobby, would you accept God? Are you ready? I would ignore it throughout the whole years because a lot of people thought I had God in me, which I do, but I really didn't honor him by talking about it. And I'm still learning. I haven't read the Bible yet, just for full disclaimer. It's still a new journey for me. So right there, that was a second ha-ha moment. It was at the right time. We're really close friends. He has an incredible church in Dallas. I feel even better now because I had anxiety that one day something happens to me. I'm not physically here no more. What's going to happen to my family? Are they going to follow through the plan on the legacy? They're going to have character, integrity. I had all this anxiety for so many years. After that day, I don't have anxiety, man. I know it's in good hands because I do know, and I'm not going to get church here yet, but I have to honor him. The reason I'm here is because he's put all this stuff in front of me like he does for each of us. The only difference with Bobby, I took and I executed. He kept putting opportunities in front of me, people in front of me. I missed it for so many years. And finally, I just started taking action. And I think God does that for each and every one of us. But we're so distracted, we don't realize the message. We don't realize what's right in front of us. So that's where I'll leave it when it comes to God. I love him.
Wow. It's interesting. We just dropped the episode with Omani Carson, and he was talking about his relationship and how his life changed on the backside of finding that. And so with you, if I remember the story correctly, like you're a 9th grade dropout and you were able to build a company to $1 billion valuation.
Yep.
And, sometimes people will put it off and they're like, oh, well, God did this and God did that. And I was just lucky. How did you go from what I think most people would say, hey, he turned his back on the thing that was going to create success? Because I think you guys are like Cuban immigrants and some other things, right? So like the thing that was most people would say would create success is education. You walked away from that. And then you have a huge exit. How do we get from here to there?
Yeah, man, it's so powerful. First of all, my story is solid. My story is true. I sold a company for $1 billion. I started that journey with $1,700. That was not my money. I didn't have that money. It was my mother-in-law's money. I burned a lot of bridges in my life, and she handed me $1,700. I go in, I talk a lot about it in my book. I only got through the 9th grade, and back then, Jerome, it was junior high. Today, that's considered high school. I come from a family full of love, but a lot of passion, which I call personalities, and chaos. My father had 15, 14 children with many, many different ladies. He had me when he was 50. My mother was 27. Great. And I love them all, man. I love them all. But I do believe generational patterns are very powerful for the good, bad, and ugly. My family that I love, we kept repeating this pattern generation over generation. We didn't know anything different. What happened to me was because of my mother. She was a waitress, pretty much how she raised me. Before Denny's, it was Sambo's. She had 2.5 jobs being a waitress, sleeping on the couch. We lived on Section 8. Hardworking mom. My dad was really laid back. I started becoming a waiter, busboy, server. I started interacting with what we call personalities. Now, I come from a family that has a lot of personalities, a lot of anger, a lot of regrets, a lot of chaos, because when people are so close to one another, they tend to give themselves the bad side of us, our family members, but everyone else gets the good side. But the ones that are so close to us, they get the just ugly side of Bobby. Interacting with all these people, I started putting one and one together because I was listening to entrepreneurs at the dinner table, just talking about business, and I was just fascinated. And I got curious. That curiosity led me to an obsession that parked me for a while because I was addicted to the classified ads. Make $10,000 a month, make $100 million. I'll respond to it. Never executed it. Fast forward, I responded to an ad in USA Today in the classified, a business opportunity. I was selling memberships for the Better Business Bureau during the day and waiting on tables in Miami on Key Biscayne called the Rusty Pelican. It's there today. Had 2 jobs. A lead came in at the Better Business Bureau. At the same time, I received more or less this package, and it was the same company. There was a message. I put my selling hat on. I sold them a membership. The owner says, I don't believe in this membership, but young man, I will buy this Donkey Kong membership under one condition. You come work for me. That changed my life. That was another pivot in my life. From there, he retired really quick. He gave me a Rolodex and a manual. He says, but you're going to have to pay me $1,700. That's where I got it from Dixie. That $1,700 started a journey that not only I became personally free because my confidence went up, I became financially free. That $1,700 led me to do an exit, 250 million, 11 months later, 600 million, and a few years later for $1 billion. I started being self-taught. And I think, Jerome, I don't know about you, dude, we're all students of life. It's called being humble because I don't know it all. And just think about it. People go to Ivy League schools. What are they learning that really matters in today's environment? Does it really matter? I have nothing against Abraham Lincoln, George Washington. I think there's incredible pioneers in history, but I did not park myself there. And I think I got a better deal on my education being in the world of being self-taught, but obsession was a requirement in order to be self-taught. And I think we have brilliant minds, man.
Wow. So 3 bites of the apple, 250,
Yes,
600, and a B.
Someone came, a big institution, billions and billions of dollars of institutions came. Hey, we want to buy 30% of the company based on $250 million valuation, and we're going to pay all cash. First time that's ever happened to me in my life. Didn't even understand what I was holding, my brother. We said yes. Closed in a few months, which was really a fast close, maybe even sooner than that. Money was transferred. Money hit the account. I was not, believe it or not, I didn't get excited about when I saw it in our checking account. My wife, Sophie, of 34 years, was very emotional. Not me. I was saying, why did it close so quick? That was really an easy transaction. That was like sign and go. Do Google, the power of information on the internet, by focusing, not getting distracted by seeing other people's life, seeing the Ferraris and all that, like a lot of people use the internet and social platforms today. I was more curious, and I found out they got a great deal. And then they had a clause in the transaction, if we want to, and we still own 70%, by the way, they took 30. if we still want to ever sell any part of the business, they have the first right refusal. Well, now that we know what works, oh man, this is how the multiple's done. Because all along we were building the business here, but they were looking at something else that we weren't looking at because we were distracted, being that small business owner. Okay, this is how it rocks. And I got so excited. Again, I became obsessed. I learned something new. I executed. 11 months, under a year, we go back, hey, we want to take 19% more off the table, but leaving us with 51%. So we still control and own 51% of the company. Perfect, man. We love this investment. We will take it. Perfect. But it's not 250 million. It's 600 million. You're out of your mind. And the response was, we understand it's a heavy check. We get it, but this is what it's worth. But we're just reporting to you because we have to. Boom, they took it. A few months later, it closed. Kept going, going, going. And now we start scaling the business. It's amazing. If you're a business owner, investor, or even somebody that's in New York, I was born in Bronx, and you're a bus driver, this is absolutely possible because the only thing you need to do, you're here, you just need to adjust your lens and be obsessed about being self-taught. I don't know algebra. I don't know how to spell. I don't even speak Spanish, believe it or not, and I can't even hardly speak English. If I did it, I strongly believe anybody can do it. And of course, you got to be mentally healthy, physically healthy. And if you're blessed to say that I am physically and mentally healthy, you have no excuse. You're investing your time completely the wrong way. Your patterns are simply duplicating the previous generation. And my mission, Jerome, is to break my family's curse. I want my future generation to do it better.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here thinking so few people actually get the opportunity to sell their business. I think the stat is like only 20% of businesses that go to market actually close.
Yep.
And then there's another ugly stat that says something along the lines of 75% of people who sell their business regret it. And what you just offered to us was not only did you sell it, but you were able to keep majority, which allowed you to keep control. Then you came back and sold a little bit more. And I watched so many business owners say, oh, well, I'm having so much fun. I don't want to sell any of my business. But you took some chips off the table. And I imagine that probably changed a few things at home. Some people celebrate with cars, some people celebrate with watches, some people go on a trip. Even though you said you didn't get excited, outside of knowing that the deal, you gave them a favorable deal, you gave them an advantageous deal, was there anything else that unlocked for you when you saw the money hit the bank? Because I assume that's more money than you ever had in your account at one time.
Yes, sir. So I'm very passionate about numbers. It's incredible, man. I'm self-taught. I'm obsessed about numbers because numbers and data, they don't have personalities. They don't lie. And I started really understanding the money that we received. And I hate to say, and I don't want to come across the wrong way, I'm a real big thinker. I like a lot of scale. I like to do things big. I like to really have magnificent days, not average days. I knew instantly after understanding the multiples and the motivation to get to 600 million, the money that was transferred is not going to be enough to carry it forward. Because again, my mindset is massive, dude. I'm not looking like, hey, you got tens of millions of dollars in and that's good. So I was already thinking and being bigger before that money showed up. I did get excited on the second part when that other 19% came based on 600 million. By the way, all cash. I got excited, not so much about the money. Now I have a new model. I can start pivoting and leveraging money. So with that said, and just to let you know, before we took that first slice, my incredible life partner, Sophie, and I have been together for 34 years, man. So you got to constantly fertilize things. You can't quit. 34 years, my dad didn't get that right. We were already buying real estate. So while we were building the company, we were buying Section 8 housing, $40,000 unit here. We would just get the money out of our hands Jerome. First, we will reinvest in our business all the time, but the excess invested in real estate. So we were doing this way before we exited 1, 2, or 3 slices. But then during that process, we were learning so much how to scale and leverage real estate, leveraging money. We made a lot of mistakes in bad ways where we almost jeopardized that company that we're talking about, and we almost filed bankruptcy. A bunch of idiots, because we were buying it wrong. We were doing everything wrong. We were distracted. I talk a lot about it in my book, and my book is on audio, Spanish, English. It's free there. It's whatever for another Bobby or Sophie. So real estate came in. Everyone thinks that we sold the company and we went out and bought real estate. That's not the case. We've been doing this when nobody was watching, man. That's when you're really winning. A lot of people are doing things just for the attention of an audience. We were doing things really intentional to break this pattern. So while this was going, I knew that first slice was not going to be enough. And I'm talking about generations, dude. I want this thing going 5, 6 generations, and spend a lot of time with my grandchildren, my children, to teach them with some incredible trusted advisors. So think about it. Most people will quit right there. And a lot of people, oh man, I would have went this, Bobby, I would have done. No. What Bobby and Sophie did, we invested that money. That money was out of our hands. We went back to go get more money. Kept fertilizing that company. Did it number 2, did it number 3. It's called scaling.
Whoa. So I find when people exit, they become venture capitalists or they become angel investors, and they start investing in things that they don't know or don't understand. And they tend to lose their money because they're doing something that they didn't know about. But it sounds like what you guys did was basically pour fuel on the fire that was already burning with your real estate portfolio. Is that fair?
You got it. We had some coals burning, and we just added some fluid to that, meaning that just see a lot of people, and I like to talk about the Bobbies, the waiters and waitresses of the world. Matter of fact, when I speak at events, I am so focused on the hospitality workers. I actually call them out. I say, listen, dude, I am talking to you. Listen to what I'm saying. You're here for free. That was you. What I'm telling this individual or individuals, the power of compound. Anything that was big started small. And a lot of people want to skip that process. 1 penny a day, a lousy penny that even a homeless person will throw it back at you being insulted, compounded for a lousy 30 days. And I asked the average person, what do you think that equates to? What's the sum of it? I don't know, $300? No, over $5 million. The compound of interest is the most powerful thing. And it got me so excited that how dare me just waste my money? We have planes, we have boats, we have all our stuff is free and clear. We have a blessed, healthy life. We travel a lot. I'm 10 minutes. I'm in the middle. My son lives 10 minutes away from me this way. My daughter. I have everything I want. If I put more money to it, it's not going to bring me any more happiness. What brings me happiness is teaching my children, my immediate circle, how to do it better than Mimi and Papa. That's what my grandkids call us. So I really respect the dollar. I'm not going to give someone my dollar. I am not going to burn it at a club, take a big photograph. Hey, I just bought a $25,000 bottle. Not me. And I used to be a flash dancer. I talk heavily about it in my book. Even when I was broke, I was a flash dancer. I was so lost in life.
So what was the pivot on that? Was it almost having to file bankruptcy, or why'd you decide that, flash wasn't the way anymore?
Yeah. So when we started the company, eventually the company started doing good, Jerome. And let's just say 7 years later, doing good, feeling really good, unstoppable. That ego takes place. The need to tell people I had 100 employees, the need to make sure they see this watch, the need to impress. I got away from being who Bobby really is. Our confidence without information took place. Way before me and Sophie started investing in real estate many years ago correctly, we went out and we thought we were going to be condo converters in 2005. We bought a bunch of apartments, $80 million and something. We had banks give us practically 100% leverage back in the day like that, maybe even 105. We had no clue what we were doing. We moved everybody out, and we were going to just renovate all this and sell them each unit. Why? Because everybody else was doing it. And meanwhile, we have this incredible company. We didn't even realize what we had. We were distracted. Remember we said this? I started really focusing on these shiny objects and getting the FOMO because everyone else is making money. Meanwhile, this incredible little company I had no respect for. I didn't understand the magnitude, the scale of it, because I was distracted. Obviously, you know what comes next, the financial global crisis. Before that, there was a couple hurricanes. Now we're interviewing bankruptcy attorneys. And guess what? When we got all those loans, we not only personally signed, but we also put the company on the line. That had nothing to do with real estate. We didn't even respect it so much. Well, guess what? That turned out to be a horrible decision only because we were distracted. We get out of it, didn't file bankruptcy. The only reason we didn't, we went back to our company. And like I say, we picked up shovels and we started shoveling, getting all the crap out of the dump truck. And we're going to pay attention to this business. We were so intentional about it that it grew. And eventually that $250 million happened.
Hey guys, as you might know, a very small percentage of the people who actually listen to this podcast are subscribers. So do us a favor, subscribe. In fact, we did some analytics and we found out that only 25% of the people who listen are subscribers. And our goal is to get that to about 75% over the next 3 months. So do us a favor, hit the subscribe button so you get notified when our new episodes come. We plan to bring immense value to you guys going forward as we continue to improve the content that we create at Dreamcatcher. Your dreams should be real. Let's get back to the show.
I believe that 100%, what I give 100% in energy to, only one thing happens, it grows. What do I want to give energy to? So that's the only reason that company blew up, why I'm still married. I'm giving it energy, why I'm a great father, why I want to be a great leader. I'm giving it energy with intention. So we learned our lesson. Sophie and I said, we will never do that again, but real estate is something we want to invest in. And we learned from that horrible experience. Most people will give up on it. Never again. Never again. No, we leaned back in when the market came back. End of 2010, we started buying. We said we want to be landlords. And that's how all that happened.
Man, so, you know, a lot of people feel like you got to have 7 streams of income and you got to be doing a bunch of different things in order to make success. And you just told me, Jerome, you do one thing.
That's right, my brother.
You put all the other stuff is a distraction. And if you can lock in on that one thing, fertilize it, make it grow, you will eventually have rewards that maybe you can't even imagine or believe are possible.
You're 100% right. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. And so I coach some entrepreneurs one-on-one, and I have a real estate group helping them understand real estate and scale real estate. I have a free Upsiders community for that waiter. It's absolutely free. It's called Upsiders. And most of us are just not winning or succeeding. We have limited self-beliefs. We don't feel like we're worthy. But if you really just pile up all your energy, let's just call it, I get 100% of it. And now I put that 100% of it in this, which in my case, it included my family because that was my purpose. So all my focus and energy is here. It's not spread out. And a lot of people are spread out. There's so many people on social media. I hate it, but I do love it because we're able to connect with some incredible people. But unfortunately, 90% of people are suffocating their life on social media, seeing other people either appearing that they're winning or they're winning versus taking charge of their life. They're almost like a manager of their life versus an owner of their life. And the only difference Bobby did, I got curious. The curiosity became an obsession. I started manifesting the outcomes. I started taking action. and it just grows, grows, grows. You don't have to have money right now, Bobby or Sophie. If you're broke, you're a waiter like I was, and you only got 10 bucks in your account, you got you. And the reason I say you got you're one out of 8 billion, Bobby. Never again another Bobby will be created. You know how special in business, we understand supply and demand. That supply is worth a lot of friggin' money because there's only one on the planet. But yet we want to be somebody else.
Man. So people aren't actually taking inventory of how special they are and then harnessing that to create or manifest as you just described. Now, all right, most people, from my perspective, only are able to achieve what they've been exposed to. Now, you said your mom was a waitress. Your dad couldn't have been around all that much.
He delivered candy and tobacco in Miami.
So how'd you become somebody that was willing to have these big dreams? Because
I'm telling you,
it
dude,
seems like they just get bigger. Like once you get one, you just keep going.
I feel like I'm in a great video game, man. I'm winning. How I did it, Jerome, at least for me, my testimonial, I can't talk about anybody else. I started subtracting. And when I say subtracting, man, I want to tell family members, but I'm so transparent. And sometimes, like we talked about it before the podcast, transparency offends people, and it's so hard to receive it. What I'm about to say, and maybe some of the family members are going to see this, like they've seen a lot. I love you. But how Bobby did it, I subtracted people out of my life. I loved them from a distance. I subtracted some friends, so-called friends. I needed to get the shovel and start unloading some stuff and be by myself. So then I could be talking to myself and being accountable because everyone else was helping me justify my bullcrap because they were stuck like I was stuck. If you go to YouTube, you have a crab bucket, a bunch of crabs, throw them in a bucket. It never fails. One tries to get out, all the other crabs pulls them down. Now, when they pull that one crab down, another crab goes out. That same freaking crab that tried to get out is pulling the other one down because it's a pattern. They don't even know anybody know any difference because I believe misery loves company. And that's why it's very dangerous because you're suffocating your life. There's so many people with something horrible called depression. I think it swims around us. We put so much bad pressure on ourselves, and that's why you don't feel of worth. I know it. I was one of them. No one can tell me different. I was on that side of the fence, and I was so good at it.
And did you get around? You started taking people out. Did you replace, or did you just spend time in solitude?
It's simple. So I started subtracting some incredible people. Because when you have a lot of people, a lot of activity go on, this is what Bobby was seeing. But when that goes away, now I have clarity. What do I want to do? And you clearly can see it, but you can't see it like this, at least for me. Yeah. And I think that's very powerful today because a lot of people, even on social media, they're just glued to social media and they're not actually seeing what they truly want and how to receive it. So I unloaded some people from the bus, and guess what? When you have clarity, you start recognizing some other individuals. The same people that got you from A to B is not the same people that can get you from B to C. And I started paying attention because I needed what? I had no money, but I realized I don't need money to get the information. I just need to introduce myself. Hey, Bobby, now I have time to introduce myself because before I was too busy doing this. You speak to, I'm so busy being broke.
Busy being broke. I sometimes people greet me and they're like, hey man, you staying busy? I was like, I don't want to be busy. And I don't think busy is the way. I want to be efficient. I want to be
You want to be effective and efficient. Your minutes are non-refunded. You'll never get them back. How much is it? A lot of people don't value their time. They never put a currency with their time. My time is very expensive. Think about it, just the hour. That's why I'm so passionate of giving value here because I want something in return for this podcast. What is that? Touch another Bobby, touch another Sophie to let them know it's possible. And I'm so mission driven of value. I want to be always about value because when you give value, the value you're going to get back is 10x. As long as you're around the right people.
So help me understand this, because you mentioned boats, you mentioned planes. Um, some people can't rationalize how those things make sense.
Yeah.
Why would you make that level of investment if you're not doing it for the gram, right? If you're not
Yep.
doing
Yep.
it to impress clients
Yes,
or
sir.
try to make your friends think you're doing better, or you're trying to show your mom that things are okay. Why
Yep.
would you make those types of investments?
So I fly charter for private for many, many years. The time value is unbelievable. Now, think about it. If I can get to a place in 2.5 hours versus 5 hours, again, going back to my time, that hour and a half, 2 hours, very expensive for me. I don't have to go through security. I don't have to do nothing. I make money on my time. My objective is to get as much as I can out of my minute. As long as I don't offend anybody, I'm kind, I'm cool. But the boat, I bring my family there. This is where our personal investment is where we gather. We just came from the Keys, our beach house there. Those things now, I earned them. I deserve them. And that's for my family, where I can give emotional love to my family and spend time and tell them how much I love them. I see my grandkids, where back in the day, I was physically there, but I wasn't mindful there. So the time element, a lot of people, and I know entrepreneurs I talk to, and I tell them, you shouldn't even be going charter, flying private. You don't even value your time. You're only doing it for a screenshot. You know that, and I know that. You can't lie to me. I know. Stop traveling private. You can't afford it. It means nothing. Do what Bobby did. Take 3 connecting flights at one time, which I had no other choice. But the value exchange of time is very important. Yes, we have all our homes. They're all free and clear. But you know what, man? I put it all on the line. My family, myself, we deserve that. And we live an incredible life. I mean, just the real estate portfolio, just Sophie and I, it's $500,000 a month. Every single month gives us that check, whether we like it or not. That doesn't even include my kids and all that stuff. And that's one of, other streams. So I did this intentionally because I manifested what this was all going to be, man. I had the confidence. That's called obsession.
So when did this vision come together? Like, can you remember the day or the night where you're like, this is what life is going to be? We're going to have the boat. We're going to have the plane. We're going to have the place in the Keys. We're going to be able to go to Bahamas.
This book, Upsiders, I get heavily involved. My daughters, I wrote about my daughter in there. The day, another pivot for Bobby, I'm living at my in-laws' house in Hialeah. Pedro and Dixie, they're no longer with us. Living at their house, paying them no money, no job. Pity
this
me.
Is what you're at your in-laws' house, right?
Yeah, I was there a few times. I'm there again. I was back. This last time I was back again. He's back. I go out. It was on a weekday, late afternoon. I walk out of their house in Hialeah, and a black Mustang pulls up. It was a beat-up Mustang, had no air condition. Matter of fact, it had reverse fumes. When you not even turn on the AC, it was coming through the air conditioning vents, just the reverse fuel smell. Pulls up, and an incredible, sexy human being. She's so red and pink, and she's smiling at me. And that's Sophie, by the way, behind her was a little baby. Her name is Priscilla, my daughter, who's 33 years old today. She's pink, and they're pink and red because the humidity is awful. There was no air conditioning. They're in traffic. Sophie's coming back from work. She worked. I didn't. Going back, maybe picking up the baby. They pull up, Jerome. It hit me, man. Must have been another message. I'm realizing these messages today, looking and reflecting back on my life. It's powerful. And I was very shameful. I felt like a real loser. I felt like a big BS talker. And those are flash dancers, believe in their own crap. Right there and then, the following week, I don't know exactly when, but very soon thereafter, I get a job at the Rusty Pelican, Key Biscayne, as a waiter. and get a second job selling a membership for the Better Business Bureau to businesses. I get 2 jobs. And that's how I started it. And that's how it connects how I started that company. When I sent away for a package, I sent away for a classified, and I was working in these 2 companies. That was a pivot time where I started subtracting a lot of people from my life. That was not bad influence, because it's no one's fault. It's my fault. But you subtract it because you start picking up on these patterns. You start becoming desperate to make money. You start making bad decisions. You just fall victim to this chaos way of living. It's not sustainable. I became a manager of my life, not an owner of my life. And that was a big pivot for me. And that was a new Bobby. The Bobby you see today is different than the Bobby yesterday. I continue to find this new Bobby. People think I'm a little whacked out. It's okay, but I see the outcomes. I see the results. More so, I know how it feels inside. PMA, man, positive mental attitude. What is basically it's all about solutions. Anything that's an issue, a struggle, some dark moments in our life, focus on the solution, not the issues or dark moments in your life, but the solution. My solution that day was to get everyone off my bus.
Whoa. So you looked at your wife and your daughter and you said, no more. This is
To myself,
unacceptable.
not to them, because Sophie heard me with my bull crap. It's going to be different this time, babe. That was the Bobby, big talker. And I almost lost my wife, not one time, many times.
Huh.
How many things are you losing in your life instead of fertilizing? That means so much to you.
Man. You know, it's very rare for somebody to achieve the level of success and have one wife. And I would never put it on a pedestal and pretend like there were never any issues or there weren't any challenges, as you alluded to put like almost losing her. What was the desire to make the relationship work? Because I think there is some making that has to happen in order for them to stand 3+ decades. Was that because you didn't want to be like your dad? You saw his example and you're like, I don't want that? Or
I started seeing, I started becoming very mindful of my family, their patterns. I was duplicating. I had an ego. I was stubborn. Me, I. It was always chaos. It was always friction. It was always complication. I was picking up those patterns. I was picking up patterns, blaming the system, why I'm not making money, this excuse, that excuse, just hanging out in the parking lot, doing absolutely nothing with my time other than hanging out and talking about crap that has no meaning to what I want in life. And again, I call that this. It's powerful. I'm telling everyone, some people, most think I'm crazy. You disconnect from everybody in your life right now for a moment in time. You can bring them back on the bus, love them from a distance. If you're struggling and you're financially not where you want to be, you're emotionally not where you want to be, you're just not feeling of worth, take a time out from 100% of people, not your kids, not your immediate self, but all these distractions, because it's preventing growth within your life. And it's so hard for people to do that because we're not used to being by ourselves. And you know, Jerome, as much as I know, a lot of successful people that created big things, they're alone a lot of times by themselves. 25% of my life is by myself. Many people can't handle that. How do you do it, Bobby? I say, how do you not do it? You know how much I'm picking up on that 25%? I mean, I'm just loading my brain up. I don't, so I really manage my time effectively.
Man. This is so good because the level of self-acceptance you have to have and self-love in order to spend time with yourself. And, sometimes people think time with themselves is, oh, I'm in the car singing the song on the radio, or I'm watching TV and nobody else is in the house. I'm walking,
but I'm also looking at Instagram. I'm walking, but I'm doing it.
That's not what you're talking about. Can we go deeper on that? What does it mean to spend time with yourself?
So I reflect a lot. So I look at, and I even catch myself of things. It's so easy to get back where you came from. It's so easy. It's so easy if you don't really protect your time. When you're by yourself, at least in the beginning for me, it was a big struggle. And the struggle was I was realizing I'm a big flash dancer, a big talker. I don't live up to my word. I don't live up to my promises. I make myself. I quit a lot. It was so hard for me to realize that a lot of times I wanted company. But the more I started realizing more about that, I was able to really be intentional about my efforts and execution. So think about it. If you don't have time to yourself, how are you going to learn this new chapter going forward? How are you going to wean off of that drug, meaning other people? It's like going to rehab, man. You constantly, I mean, we get 70,000 thoughts a day coming at us. We got people, there's so much headwinds. How do I manage it all? Well, sometimes you got to give yourself a break of what can I do to improve? Okay, here's my financial situation. What am I going to do about that? I mean, do a report card. I'm so intentional with my time that I come back not only making money from realizing certain things when I'm by myself, but also new ways to create wealth, new ways to look at an investment that maybe I'm looking to open a business. I'm making this up, plumber. If you don't look at your plumbing business or you want to get into plumbing and you really mindfully don't really understand it, you got to be by yourself. You got to give yourself time. You don't need a professor to teach you at Miami-Dade Community College. You can be self-taught because when you have this passion, man, we get really powerful. So I spend a lot of time myself because I enjoy it. It's a value add. I get so much value from it that I just execute on so many things. Maybe I realize, oh man, you know what? I got to send Sophie some roses. Man, I didn't even, I should be texting my daughter Priscilla, tell her how amazing she is and how much I love her, my son. I mean, those things. What can I do more of and less of?
I like the more of and less of exercise. You know, a lot of times when folks are working with me, I have them draw a line down the middle of the paper. And this is kind of an end of your reflection type deal. It's like, hey, what do you want more of? And what do you want less of? And they make that list. And then we execute against the ones that are easiest to implement first to get the win and for them to see it's not so hard or it's not so bad. I know you're intentional with your words. And so you've said this a couple of times, and I'm not used to hearing it said that way. You said family patterns. You were repeating your family patterns.
Generational family patterns.
And I'm used to hearing generational curses. So I suspect that there's some nuance there. What's the difference?
So generational curses means that somebody, and I'm making it up, 10 generations prior started training by being a leader, a father, somebody to future generations. That's a curse. You just put in a curse to your family because my little boy, my little girl is going to look at daddy. They will mimic daddy just like they mimic American Idol. They're very good at it. So the patterns I picked up because of my father, because of my mother, and I love them because they picked it up from my dad and mom, they were okay being broke. It was normal to have electricity out 30% of the year. It was normal to go to a warehouse and buy expiring food. It was normal to never have a car. And we were fine. We didn't know any difference. That was the world. So that becomes a pattern. And we start duplicating, even though people, I have a car now, Bobby, but everyone gets the point. What we want is to tell our children how special they are, to tell our children, no, do not make the mistakes I did. Go take risk. Get out there. Fight. You don't want to go to school, Bobby? Like, don't go to school. Let them do something more than just saying, go to UPS. That's what my father told me. Go get to the postal service. He used to deliver mail in Bronx before he chased my mother down to Florida. And so many parents are limited. Is that all your kid can do, man? Because you did it. Now, you're a firefighter. That's totally cool, man. Very important in our life. But a lot of them, they want their children to be a firefighter or police, and that's cool. But you're telling me last week, you're not making enough money and you're just exhausted from it. You can't take all that negativity when you see all these deaths and murders. Why are you telling them to do it? Some examples there.
Wow. So people aren't actually thinking about what they're doing. They're just repeating what they saw somebody else do.
They don't know any better, man. This is just a pattern. I didn't even know, man. And everybody that was around me, they didn't even know. This is how it was. So I want to break that curse because I don't want that contamination going forward. I'm only focused. I have a big family, but I'm focused on my 2 children, their spouses, my dog here, Keepa, and my grandchildren. That's my capacity. I don't have capacity to worry about my cousin here, my cousin there, my nephew here. I love them. I want to do something for my generation. And that means you're going to maybe offend some people by not maybe always seeing them, or maybe we're not talking like we have before because I don't have no common interest. The conversations are different. I have grown this way. And sometimes you could feel the friction when I'm around some people I've known for so many years. And that's why you wind up becoming alone a little bit, because there's limited conversations you can have with folks that you had before, because you're just on this new chapter, this new journey, and it's kind of awkward at times. You know, I won't lie about that, you know, and I look at them and they always ask me advice. Bobby, what do you think? I said, listen, no more advice to you, my brother. I love you, nephew. I love you, niece. I wrote a book for people like you. And listen, this is powerful. Did you read it, niece, nephew? No, Bobby, I'm not a good reader. Okay, I can get that. I'm not a good reader too. Do you know it's an audio? I'll give it to you for free. It's free right now. But I'm not, there's no more. I'm done giving advice to you. I love you. It's all here. You have to put that stake in the ground yourself. When you tell your family member this, as you can imagine, it doesn't come across good. And they think, and they never told me, they were always kind to me and they always are kind. But I know some of them may have taken it wrong, but I've been telling you, dude, you saw my journey. You saw my darkness. You saw my growth. You have front row seats for this entire movie. You should know exactly how to do it. But you're distracted.
Yeah. Eliminating the distractions just is the recurring theme. Getting rid of the things in your world that aren't going to actually build you to the place that you want to go is kind of the underlying message for me. And then the last piece of it is really, are you going to be the one? Are you going to be the one that's going to break the
Yes,
family
sir.
curse or change the patterns of what's demonstrated for the folks? When are you going to be not okay with not having the car you want or having the power on if you want to get to basic necessities? When are you not going to be okay with your kids having to do something because they don't have a choice because they're trying to figure out how they're going to survive? When are you not going to be okay with not having income showing up because you own assets versus having to trade your time for dollars?
Yeah.
What's really cool about your journey, Bobby, is you didn't make it and then decide that you're not going to help people. You've written books, you've got some programs where people can join and learn from
Yeah.
you, and then you go and do things like this, right? The podcast doesn't cost people anything to listen to.
Yep.
They just got to be smart enough to get their notepad out when somebody is dropping jewels who's actually probably been in a worse situation that they're starting from and been able to achieve things that they can't even, most of them believe is possible.
Yeah.
And so
I love
I
it.
just want to tell you, man, you're the epitome of a dream catcher. You
Thank you,
are
man.
exactly what the world needs more of. And, you know, you've said it multiple times during the interview, but you talked about not having debt, right?
Yeah.
The things being free and clear. I imagine the real estate portfolio has debt because it only makes sense with to have a
Yeah, we
leverage
have, I would
portfolio.
say our real estate portfolio, it's give or take 750 million. The leverage, I'm going to say in this expanded cap rate environment, it's probably maybe 53% leverage, which is really, really good. And, you know, all our personal assets, our homes, automobiles, all that free and clear. You know, the only stuff we put debt on is somebody or something is paying for that debt and rolling the return back to us. And that's called an investment. These personal investments, I want to really touch on this if I may. A lot of people fall victim when they buy a home and they think that's a financial investment. I strongly believe it's a personal investment. So they unfortunately buy a home and they consciously think I did my investment. That's it. We're done, honey. And they give up. A home is for your personal emotions. It's a personal investment. You're not supposed to be making money on these things. And a lot of people got away from that. And one individual or individuals I would like to address are the flash dancers. What a flash dancer is that, hey, Bobby, good, dude, you're out there. You got $5 million in the savings. You got a great business. And I believe, Jerome, money amplifies where you're at in life. And a lot of them are falling victim to impress other people, and they're not really healthy within. So money will always give you a measurement, an RPM of where you're at personally, and it amplifies where you're really at. When I see people that are real successful, and I say, and I'm coaching them, I'm saying, listen, we're going to park ourselves here a little bit on you personally here, because we can't build anything big. Yeah, you built it here, and I'll give you that much credit. There's no way you're going to get over this mountain if you keep doing this stuff. So that's called an ego, and an ego is not your amigo. And I know that ego really well because I experienced it. So I just wanted to say that, and also wanted to say about the home. Real estate, when you buy your home, it's not a financial investment. It's a personal, emotional investment where you break bread with your family, you have barbecues, you make love to your significant other or whomever, but it's not a financial investment. And then when they buy a home, without them knowing, they're giving up financially to invest because they say, okay, I made my home. I just want it free and clear now for the next 35 years. I'm going to pay it off. That is generational pattern thinking. That's another example. That's the wrong way.
Bobby, I could talk to you all afternoon, but I know that we can't do that. Where should they go to get Upsiders?
So you can go to my IG, Instagram on the link tree. It's a book, audio Spanish, audio English. You can get it there. I recommend, not because it's my book. I wrote it, Jerome. I did this myself, dude. The letters are so big, it's for like a ninth grader like me to read. And I wrote it from my heart to really impact somebody. So on Instagram, it's official Bobby Castro. And I really want that book out because it's a message here. And it's not going to give you where to go buy $1 million. It's not going to tell you how to make $1 million in 30 days. That's not this book. It's going to do more than that.
Wow. Wow. All right, y'all. Bobby has set this last hour on fire, man. I'm so grateful for his investment in myself and you all. Until the next time, your dreams should be real. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, Jerome. PMA, dude.